I. To the extent that you upload any content through the use of the services, you represent that you own all rights in or have authorization or are otherwise legally permitted to upload such content, and that such content does not violate any terms of service applicable to the services. You agree that the services contain proprietary content, information, and material that is owned by Apple, the site owner or their licensors, and is protected by applicable intellectual property and other laws, including but not limited to copyright. You agree that you will not use such proprietary content, information, or materials other than for permitted use of the services or in any manner that is inconsistent with the terms of this license, or that infringes any intellectual property rights of a third party or Apple. No portion of the services may be reproduced in any form by any means. You agree not to modify, rent, lease, loan, sell, distribute, or create derivative works based on the services in any manner, and you shall not exploit the services in any unauthorized way whatsoever, including but not limited to using the services to transmit any computer viruses, worms, Trojan horses, or other malware, or by trespass or burdening network capacity. You further agree not to use the services in any manner to harass, abuse, stalk, threaten, defame, or otherwise infringe or violate the rights of any other party, and that Apple is not in any way responsible for any such use by you, nor for any harassing, threatening, defamatory, offensive, infringing, or illegal messages or transmissions that you may receive as a result of using any of the services. J. In addition, services and third-party materials that may be accessed, linked to, or displayed on the iOS device are not available in all languages or in all countries or regions. Apple makes no representation that such services and third-party materials are appropriate or available for use in any particular location. To the extent you choose to or access such services and third-party materials, you do so at your own initiative and are responsible for compliance with any applicable laws, including but not limited to applicable local laws and privacy and data collection laws. Sharing or syncing photos through your iOS device may cause metadata, including where and when the photo was taken and depth information, to be transmitted with the photos. Use of Apple services such as iCloud Photo Library to share or sync such photos will involve Apple receiving and storing such metadata. Apple and its licensors reserve the right to change, suspend, remove, or disable access to any services at any time without notice. In no event will Apple be liable for the removal or of disabling of access to any such services. Apple may also impose limits on the use or of access to certain services in any case and without notice or liability. Part 6. Termination. This license is effective until terminated. Your rights under this license will terminate automatically or otherwise cease to be effective without notice from Apple if you fail to comply with any terms of this license. Upon termination of this license, you shall cease all use of the iOS software. Sections 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 12, and 13 of this license shall survive any such termination. Part 7. Disclaimer of warranties. 7.1. If you are a customer who is a consumer, someone who uses the iOS software outside of your trade, business, or profession, you may have legal rights in your country of residence which would prohibit the following limitations from applying to you, and where prohibited they will not apply to you. To find out more about rights, you should contact a local consumer advice organization. 7.2. You expressly acknowledge and agree that, to the extent permitted by applicable law, use of the iOS software and any services performed by or accessed through the iOS software is at your sole risk, and that the entire risk as to satisfactory quality, performance, accuracy, and effort is with you. 7.3. To the maximum extent permitted by applicable law, the iOS software and services are provided as is and as available, with all faults and without warranty of any kind, and Apple and Apple's licensors, collectively referred to as Apple for the purposes of Section 7 and 8, hereby disclaim all warranties and conditions with respect to the iOS software and services, either express, implied, or statutory, including but not limited to the implied warranties and or conditions of merchantability, satisfactory quality, fitness for a particular purpose, accuracy, quiet enjoyment, and non-infringement of third-party rights. 7.4. Apple does not warrant against interference with your enjoyment of the iOS software and services, that the functions contained in or services performed or provided by the iOS software will meet your requirements, that the operation of the iOS software and services will be uninterrupted or error-free, that any service will continue to be made available, that defects in the iOS software or services will be corrected, or that the iOS software will be compatible or work with any third-party software, applications, or third-party services. Installation of this iOS software may affect the availability and usability of third-party software, applications, or third-party services, as well as Apple products and services. 7.5. You further acknowledge that the iOS software and services are not intended or suitable for use in situations or environments where the failure or time delays of or errors in accuracies in the content, data, or information provided by the iOS software or services could lead to death, personal injury, or severe physical or environmental damage, including without limitation the operation of nuclear facilities, aircraft navigation or communication systems, air traffic control, life support, or weapon systems. 7.6. No oral or written information or advice given by Apple or an Apple authorized representative shall create a warranty. Should the iOS software or services prove defective, you assume the entire cost of all necessary servicing, repair, or correction. Some jurisdictions do not allow the exclusion of implied warranties or limitations on applicable statutory rights of a consumer, so the above exclusion and limitations may not apply to you. Part 8. Limitation of liability. To the extent not prohibited by applicable law, in no event shall Apple, its affiliates, agents, or principals be liable for personal injury or any incidental, special, indirect, or consequential damages whatsoever, including without limitation damages for loss of profits, corruption, or loss of data, failure to transmit or receive any data, including without limitation course instructions, assignments, and materials, business interruption, or any other commercial damages or losses arising out of or related to your use or inability to use the iOS software and services or any third-party software or applications in conjunction with the iOS software or services, however caused, regardless of the theory of liability, contract, tort, or otherwise, and even if Apple has been advised of the possibility of such damages. Some jurisdictions do not allow the exclusion or limitation of liability for personal injury or of incidental or consequential damages, so this limitation may not apply to you. In no event shall Apple's total liability to you for all damages other than as may be required by applicable law in cases involving personal injury exceed the amount of $250. The foregoing limitations will apply even if the above stated fails of its essential purpose. Part 9. Digital certificates. The iOS software contains functionality that allows it to accept digital certificates either issued from Apple or from third parties. You are solely responsible for deciding whether or not to rely on a certificate, whether issued by Apple or a third party. Your use of digital certificates is at your sole risk. To the maximum extent permitted by applicable law, Apple makes no warranties or representations express or implied as to merchantability or fitness for any particular purpose, accuracy, security, or non-infringement of third-party rights with respect to digital certificates.